Hello, my name is Jamel Ziu. Today we'll be talking about Power BI in strategic decision making and data science. The key here is to transform data into actionable insights, regarding the project I'm working on. And what is the role of Power BI? Power BI means business intelligence. So the role of Power BI is basically to visualize data. We want to use graphics and trends basically. So in a nutshell, use the interactive exploration of business data to get insights. And how it's done, we build dashboards, we collect real-time executive reporting, and then also we share insights across department knowledge distribution. That way we can all be on the same page and help out with the analysis or decision making. So how can Power BI be maximized in a project or in industry? Live connection, for instance, direct MySQL database integration. For instance, in my project, I connected my SQL to Power BI to kind of just run some analysis, which I will provide towards the end. And then the DAX formulas helps customize, metrics, key performance indicators. And then we have like the interactive features, how each feature interact with one another's, like with different keys, primary keys or foreign keys. So the slicer will help with that, as well as the filters for more exploration. And then the drill through, we have details, breakdowns for about like the project or analysis. So who uses Power BI the most in industry? Well, here you have it. We have business intelligence analysts. Why? For primary dashboard creators. Data scientists. Why? Because they have advanced analytical visualization capabilities. And financial managers. Why? For return on investment and cost tracking, because they need visual when you showcase, all your findings when working with clients. You need like to show them, right? So that's why Power BI is really important, because they will be able to visually see what the financial managers are talking about. And for the operation managers, for process improvement monitoring. So if how can you say that the process has been monitored or controlled? Well, we have to show them like the customer uh, key performance indicators, which is where Power BI is handy. It's one of the tools. There's also other tools, but for this project, I use Power BI. So when is Power BI used the most? Post-project reviews. Why? For performance audits and analysis. For strategic planning. Why we do that? We want to get like some data-driven decision making, because if we don't have data, it's just merely opinion. So the need of using strategic methods to get to the decision is crucial. That's why it's important. And then also for crisis response, for instance, in COVID-19 impact assessment, how do we assess the impact of COVID? We gather some information and then we run the analysis. And then at the end, we conclude with, the data that we got from the analysis. So where in industry Power BI is needed the most? So as I mentioned, in manufacturing, where you can look at the KPIs, key performance indicator tracking, we track that. Lean Six Sigma project and cycle time analysis. And in healthcare, we have hospitalization monitoring. When you go to the hospital and then you want to monitor how many people came into the hospital, how many people left. So Power BI can be able to do that. The capability capacity planning. So you want to plan like, how many people can be hospitalized in the hospital basically, and how many beds, for instance. So, and then also resource allocation. So how many resources are needed for the patient to be treated. So that's where, Power BI can be used the most. And then also in finance, so return on investments, forecasting. So you want to like project, your analysis for like the future. For instance, after COVID, what was the impact after COVID and before COVID? So, and then how much money was spent afterwards and how much can be actually saved. And cost reduction tracking, so Power BI can help with that as well, because if we know our data or information, we can actually easily like gauge the decision based on that. And at the end we have inflation trend analysis. So that's the end of that. So why Power BI is crucial for data scientists? Well, one for visual communication, which bridges the gap between the technical and business. For rapid prototyping, for quick data narrative and creation, and then technology integration, such as connecting MySQL, Python, and DAX connectivity. Power BI data model overview. So the star, schema design, optimizing data relationship. As I mentioned, I will show you after this slide. And we have like a one-to-many relationship, such as like the project, department, and here connection, which is specific to my project. And then also the scalable architecture to normalize, for growth. And here is, one of the picture that display how powerful Power BI is. So here we have the KPI tracking, the project, the employee and department, and cost saving, GDP data, hospitalization rates, and interest rate. So the connection between KPI tracking and projects is the one-to-one, because we have, as you can see, we have project ID on both ends. So that's actually a one-to-one. And as well as the project to cost saving, as you can observe, we have project ID in both uh, square, cost saving and project. And then one-to-many will be the department, and then the employees, because we have the department ID and department ID as well, but we also have other elements linked in both, you know, uh, employees and departments. So that's why it's like one-to-many. And then here we have actually the MySQL database. So my database was actually pulled from uh, Power BI. As you can see here, we had the tables, the cost saving, department, employees, GDP data, hospitalization rate, interest rate, KPI tracking, and project. So this one enables Power BI to pull the data from MySQL and then conduct the analysis. And then here on the select and from database hospitalization rates, I was able to run this single line of code to basically showcase, the table entitled hospitalization rates. And as you can see, MySQL helped us, visualize that here, and which was really crucial for the project. And then, as we proceed with the project, we can also do that for other tables as well. So which is really powerful. So that's why it's really crucial to know how to use those tools, because it helps. And final thought about the presentation, you have to have basically clear communication, which translate with data science to business value, have a strategic alignment, which connects metrics to business goal, and have an agile response, which enables, real-time performing monitoring. And this concludes our presentation for today, and thank you for your time and attention. We hope this presentation has illuminated the strategic value of Power BI and transforming raw data into actionable business intelligence. By leveraging these visualization capabilities, data scientists and decision makers can collaborate more effectively to drive organizational success through evidence-based strategies. And here is the reference for more research if you would like. And thank you very much for your time for the presentation.